Hey, welcome back to the Better Life series where we explore practical tools and inspiring stories to help you live with more clarity, energy, and purpose. And today I'm thrilled to introduce you to someone who embodies resilience, compassion, and transformation. My guest today is Nina Della Vecchia. She is the heart and soul behind Dare to Be Me coaching. Nina is a certified spiritual life coach, a Reiki Master Practitioner, and a guide for those navigating some of life's toughest seasons. Whether it's grief or caregiving or simply feeling stuck in life that doesn't feel good or doesn't feel like their own, Nina can help. And what I love most about Nina's work is that it's deeply personal and supportive. She describes herself as your hug in the dark, helping to transform hardship. And through her unique blend of spiritual practices, energy work, and practical coaching, she helps people reconnect with their inner resilience and to live authentically. And in today's conversation, we're going to unpack her journey and explore how she helps clients transform pain into possibility and learn what it truly means to dare to be me. And so, Nina, I am so glad to have you here to the Better Life
Mhm.
series. I'm excited. One of our goals here on the channel is just to provide people with access to the resources and the assets that we have, not only in the local area, but nationally because of technology. And
Mhm.
getting to meet you over the last month or so, and I've just been so impressed with what you do. I checked out your website. I love your website, and that's really where I would love to start. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So, on your website, you have a tagline, and I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up, but it says, I am your hug in the dark, transforming hardship. Can you just provide a pivotal moment from your own life that inspired you to become that light for others?
Mhm. Well, one, thank you so much for having me. It's been great getting to know you and your wife, Noreen, and your work as well. So it's an honor to be here. And so, yeah, I'm your hug in the dark, darkness or hardship or whatever you want to put in there that maybe at times in your life where you just feel like, whew, it's tough to see any kind of light. So for me, there's been multiple times I come from a big family. So with big family comes a lot of love and a lot of opportunities for life to throw a lot of curveballs. So there's that. But for me personally, probably my biggest curveball was back in 2022. I was an outside sales rep and I'd been in sales for about 30 years. Always like more of an on the road or public facing type of work. And in July of that year, I had a relapse of vertigo. So, vertigo for me, I was in a car accident in 2001 and had severe vertigo. I had to go out, take a break from work. I had to go through vestibular rehab, really go through a lot. So fast forward 21 years, and I had lived with it. Um, I have this major relapse and I'm not getting better. So literally my world was spinning. So anyone that's familiar with vertigo, that's dizziness, that's imbalance. So all my vestibular system, I had compensated with my eyes and other areas and everything just stopped. So I struggled to get back into the therapies I did 21 years ago. Things were not going away. And so 5 days in, as I'm trying to figure out, get back into rehab, I have a panic attack and I'd never had one before. Fortunately, I'd never had one since, but I really thought I was going to die.
Hmm.
So I called 911. I was living by myself. And paramedics came and they confirmed that this was a panic attack. And at the time, COVID was still a bigger deal. So they didn't take you to the ER if they didn't really feel you had to go. So they leave and I just break down and I start shouting all the things I couldn't do. Because basically, I went from living this life of traveling almost 3,000 miles a month. I, was an active volunteer, like a full life. And here I am. I cannot look at screens. I can't work. I can't read. I can't drive. I could just navigate my way through my home, my apartment, and that was about it. Having to rely on other people. So I had this breakdown and I was just screaming all the things I cannot do. I cannot read. And I heard as clear as day, go inward. And I screamed like, what am I supposed to do? And I hear go inward. And I heard it so loudly, I jolted.
Wow.
And I was like, well, what does that mean? And so I'd sit with it. So I was going through a challenging time then. I didn't love my work. I was, had started listening to some inspirational podcasts and they were kind of offbeat and I didn't understand why I was listening. Like normally I'd listen to other things. So didn't realize like what was happening was this setup that, that I was now in this place of needing care where I was always one that provided care. And here I was needing people to drive me to therapy, all the different things. So I had enrolled in a couple of courses that were more of the spiritual nature because I didn't know what else to do for myself at that time. Because what I was going through, it wasn't something like that because I'd been in therapy. I'd had coaches. I was already a certified coach by then. I'd been a certified life coach since 2014 and had done that on the side. So in that space of from 2022 to 2024, when I launched my practice last year, was like advanced, like fast forward healing. I was doing so much inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And because of where I had come from, so I had been, so I'm one of 9 children. I'm the seventh of 9 and had navigated post-stroke with my dad, cancer with my mom, cancer with one of my nieces. And so I was always in this role, or had many opportunities to be in a role. And then here when it turned and it was my turn, and what was I going to do as someone who's single, living alone? So this go inward, and that's what I started doing. And once I did, that just released, I think because I was so vulnerable and so open, that really illuminated a path and then to helping others in a different kind of capacity. So here I am working on myself. And then people started reaching out to me that I'm going through something hard and I thought of you. I was blindsided by a divorce and I thought of you. And I was like, where are all these people coming? Like, what's happening? And I thought, and this feeling came, am I supposed to get back into my coaching? And when you say yes and you start opening yourself up and so it just became clearer and clearer. But when I was going to step in, I knew spirituality would be a part of what my work was because I was doing so much work on the inside because my physical was so shut down and that's what I had. And so then that, as I healed myself, like worked through myself, and I'm always a work in progress, it became clear and clear. And I started helping others. It just started to happen. And I received and kept going. And I still keep going.
Nice, nice. I love the fact that you listened to that voice. I mean, I like to think that was the super conscious talking to you or the infinite intelligence. And a lot of people ignore that intuition, right?
They do, I was with a friend the other day who said, pay attention, whatever your word is for God. She said, God, if that's universe, higher wisdom. She said, pay attention when God whispers, not shouts. So I think for me, it had to be this shout. And sometimes there's those of us out there that, but yeah, there's often, I think you can only quiet it so long. And some never step, and others, the nudge gets so loud or health wise, something happens, and then you step and you say yes and you go.
Right, right. And I know you mentioned caregivers, being that yourself and Now, working with other caregivers, helping them, how do you take them from or guide them from a feeling of loss to reclaiming their identity? Because we know that's a big issue because they have so many responsibilities.
So much. So much. And thank you for that. That was when it became apparent to me that that was a group that I was really going to service and support. Because unless you've been in it, it's very difficult to understand. And I wouldn't even want, if you don't understand it because you've never lived it, that is amazing for you. That's such a gift. So when people find me or when we, cross paths, it's really giving that permission to, that loss feeling is to acknowledge, like, it is everything you're feeling, everything, whatever it is, giving that permission to say it. And so many times when you're a caregiver, what that often means is you're so used to putting the other person, the other people first. And so putting yourself first seems very counterintuitive. So when you're in that desperate place, when you open your eyes every morning and you're like, oh, here I am, how am I going to face this day? So in that, because, I'm both a life coach, a spiritual life coach, and energy healer, in my work, there's energy healing in my coaching. It's peppered in, and coaching's peppered in my energy healing. So for someone who's really feeling lost, it's to acknowledge, like, let's get it out and say all the things you've been feeling. Often with a caregiver, it's not uncommon to resent your loved one, to be angry with this situation, be angry with a higher power. And I provide a space of true safety and confidentiality, and no judgment, so that whatever. I had a client recently, not that long ago, say to me, I don't think I could shock you. And I said, you probably can. And even if you could, I don't, that's not the space. This space is for your comfort, that whatever you're feeling. And so just by being able to say, some days I don't love my loved one. Some day, I hate being a caregiver. I resent. I think it's unfair. All those things. How much just getting the space to state what you are feeling in that moment gives capacity to start, like, okay, so I got it out. The world didn't end. Nothing blew up. Right. Everybody's okay. And that they have the capacity to then start building upon, and that these are feelings. Feelings come and go. Even within hardship, there's joy. And we, when you start to get those glimmers, it starts as glimmers, glimpses. And then when clients start to see, this isn't as hard as they thought it was going to be, and that they're also not alone. Many family caregivers feel isolated. So whenever you feel, one, I can just be honest, and two, I am not by myself, how much that starts to shift. For themselves.
Got it. That's so helpful. For you, you've got so much. This is kind of looking at what you do. Do you have, like, who's your ideal client? Who would you most love to work with that walks into your office?
So I know I'd say there's two. So the family caregiver, that person that is in that role because they love somebody, they were not trained for it, prepared for it. And that for them to really connect to and have more joy, pockets of joy in their life, and that their life as they know it can still have momentum. And that often most of the time, is what occurs, is that they often become better caregivers when they dare to put themselves first, because the love, the pockets of joy, the connection that they've regained with their life ultimately really transfers to their loved one. So the thought of people being in their homes that are struggling and really being challenged, and to know that there are ways and options to really have more, to really not feel like you are stuck. No one is ever stuck. And I will always challenge that. We will figure it out. In some ways, you don't have to live this life feeling stuck. So there's that group. And then the other, because of the spiritual, the inner work, another group of mine is, they may not necessarily be family caregivers, but people that are going through like a spiritual awakening, spiritual connection, or feeling like a disconnect from who they are, and living life, disconnected from their authenticity. And that typically comes, they're usually seekers.
Right.
And so through the Reiki healing, archangelic light is another. I have multiple modalities, and I'm also an intuitive. So for that group, a lot of reconnection and support can occur for them that may be feeling this like pull, but not having, somewhere to land. And a big part of all that is integration. Is like, we know things, we learn things, but it's like, how do we integrate it into our daily lives? Oh, I should meditate. Oh, I should breathe. Oh, this came for me. But it's really that integration, and to help people do that so that they can live a very like balanced life from the inside out, and have that mind, body, spirit connection.
Well, I think that's pretty incredible, because the best way to describe you is like the wellness superstore, because you have everything covered. And that I listen to Reiki meditations, but I've got to be honest.
Thanks.
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a Reiki meditation and another one. Maybe I could, I don't know. But it's always been kind of nebulous. So could you really explain some of the misconceptions about Reiki, and talk about how it impacts you working with clients, how it impacts those clients, and why I should know the difference between different types of meditation?
Well, so question, well, one, thank you for that question. What drew you to those particular meditations?
So the one I really like, it was, I think, the calmness and the beauty, that there was music involved, and the practitioner, her voice was just very soothing. I felt very relaxed, comfortable, and able to eliminate any mental noise. And that's kind of what drew me to her. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And in that Reiki, so with a Reiki certification, part of it is we get attuned. And so with those attunements, it does just that, like brings you more openness to receive, and to be that conduit with the energy. So Reiki, it's life force energy. So a lot of misconceptions with it are that, and I know there's many people that could explain and give scientific and explanation to it. I'd say for me, it's definitely more intuitive in the feeling. And like you said, her voice, when you feel that energy, when it comes through. So there are different hand positions, but also as a Reiki practitioner, you just like whenever you can feel. So you start to feel different. And that's why going to different when you said, I'm like a wellness superstore, what's so beautiful about the wellness space is, and just like with the space you hold here, no two are alike. Everybody has their own medicine. And that's what is so wonderful about, so coming into a Reiki space with me, I create a very calm, quiet container. That's the life force energy. That's, this energy that comes through. And Reiki energy is a more targeted energy. It's typically warm. And often misconceptions can be, people can be nervous, especially if there's they feel like there's maybe a religious conflict there, or allowing an energy in that is is not a safe energy. So I've run into a number of people like having skepticism or being, either skeptical because they've had not good experiences or sometimes didn't feel anything. Just putting it out there, like all feelings are valid. That's why there are so many different kinds of modalities. So, but that this is going to be a space where you are putting yourself at risk. Now, that's not my space. And I'd like to think that Reiki practitioners that are out there have very intentions of truly, like at a minimum, people will feel lighter. Just like whenever you listen to that meditation, you feel better. And that what's cool about energy is, yes, you can be in presence with someone, but because it's energy, you can be distance as well and still feel. And it's very just like when you think of someone, they've been really on your mind and then they call you. So this is this energetic connection. So in that Reiki space, I'd say the minimum for someone is to come open and that also, like I had a conversation with a potential client today who was referred to me and felt called after looking at my website and had canceled another appointment. And I understand that, like it's really just how you're called to listen to that meditation. And so when you were to ask me earlier about that, what's wishful thinking versus feeling a connection, is listen to that connection. And if you're going to work with a Reiki practitioner or an energy healer, or you never have, it's really a beautiful way to connect with yourself and to also release energetically things that could be holding you down. It helps with pain. It helps with, so we set an intention beginning of every session, and I help a client do that. So often there's clarity, there's confidence, release. Something could be weighing you down. I had a client who had come and had never experienced energy healing of any kind, Reiki, any kind. And we had the session. And so we were done. And I was like, so how was that for you? And they came because they met me at a networking event. So there was trust there. Right. So, and I said, so how was that for you? And they were like, I don't know. The word that's coming to mind is disassociation. I was like, ooh. I said, well, what does that mean? Because I was like, ooh, that's, I'm all about connection, right? And for you to connect, like, what does that mean? And they said, I don't know where I was, but all I saw was the weights coming off of me and floating away. Oh, wow. Like I saw actual weights coming off of me and floating away. And I said, okay, so how is that? How does that feel for you now? And they just went, oh, so much lighter. And this is someone who's a lot on their plate. And because I wasn't sure if that weights lifting was a good thing. Because I'm like, so how do you, so I'm like, so this was good. I was like, this was great. And so, and so I always, you may have, your own fears or trepidations about seeking out energy work, but it's so much, there's that part, if it's resonating, like I feel like I could go and just have that quiet time for an hour. Like I said, my sessions are quiet. And then you get some insights as well. And it's not uncommon for someone else to have insights. And there are others out there that, with these misconceptions, I feel that those are out there, but I also really feel that people to really connect and go within to see what resonates and try something to see, and someone that may be a little different than anything you've ever experienced, but it could be something that's just really powerful and empowering and just moves the needle just a little bit where, you feel some relief.
So Nina, in your journey from your personal transformation into becoming this awesome wellness superstore coach, what has been your biggest lesson in embracing your own vulnerability while holding space for your clients and the people that you coach?
Yeah. So My biggest lesson in vulnerability is one, that I'm as much the coachee as I am the coach. I'm as much the Reiki client as I am the practitioner. I have many people who work on me. So anything I ask of my clients, I am in that vulnerable seat all the time. So that we're in this together, that I learn just as much from my clients as I hope they learn from me. So that space of vulnerability often is me, sharing, but in the way of receiving and also releasing that, this is a client's individual journey. I can be the facilitator and the support. At the end of the day, we have our choices so as well. And so I don't ask anything of my clients that I don't do as well. And I put myself in that hot seat all the time.
What's the future for Dare to Be Me coaching, whether it be writing a book, making movies? I don't know. What are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so thank you. I don't think I'm going to make a movie. No, I see probably a podcast, my voice out there, but really I would love to change the language of family caregivers, or this daring to put yourself first, changing that language, that putting ourselves first comes off as being selfish, and it's in this space of selfish, and that truly when we honor ourselves, our mind, body, spirit, we become we have the opportunity to be better, have better relationships, have so much self-love and love for others. So whether that's a program, that would be a combination of like a digital program and in-person discussion, something along those lines where it becomes just completely acceptable and in a space to dare to be you, and to have that to have that support to do that in some type of program.
Nice. So if people want to dive in deeper with you, how can they get in touch? And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have your website probably right here, right now on the video.
Okay.
But how else can they get a hold of you?
Sure. So my website is Dare to Be Me Coaching, all spelled out. Just like my last name and my name, things are long. I'm on Facebook at Dare to Be Me Coaching. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as my name, Nina Della Vecchia. And really, I'm still the generation where I love to call. So call me, text me, 917-817-0099. I'm available.
Nice. Well, we'll make sure all that's in the show notes, probably
Great.
on screen right now. Any last words before I let you go?
So just, honor yourself, be open, and listen to those whispers, because those whispers could be the gems just waiting to support you in your life.
Excellent. Thank you, Nina. And I appreciate everybody plugging in today to hear Nina and her Wellness Superstore list of offerings and the great work she's doing. Please drop back, subscribe, share this video with others, and we'll see you real soon on another episode. Take care.